Hero simps. And also virgins.
And Yodas.
No. And welcome back to Krown. Just spit on me again! Gross! Welcome back to Krown's Magicals.
You mad?
Spit in your face, cave!
Welcome back to the Spit Cave. It's time to do some spitting action right now. And good morning to everyone out there in cryptocurrency land as we prepare for a new week. It's Monday over here. We got a new weekly, we got a new daily, we got all sorts of new fun to be looking at right now, and a big 5-day as well to follow up on, as we have been looking at for the past couple months here now. Anyways, with that in mind, I do want to wish everyone the best, and the happies as always before we get into it. What else do I want to say over here? I'm just making sure that I hit all my notes before we run into it. Yeah, that's right. Last night, Elsa and I had a really, really good night. We watched the third Star Wars, the third one, like the Revenge of the Sith one, and Elsa's never seen any of the other Star Wars ever. So we started off with the Phantom Menace, then went to the second one and then the third one, and she was like, she had her mind blown when she found the good old twist between Anakin being actually Vader, because she knew who Vader was, obviously, you know, being that it is kind of pop culture, and she was like, what? This is what in her fucking fairy voice. It was absolutely great, man. So perhaps we might even see the new, or sorry, not the new one, but the trilogy that follows after that in the, you know, time order, and then she'll, well, I suppose she'll have her mind blown yet again. Anyways, with all of that in mind, I need to sip off a little bit more of this coffee over here. My sleep patterns are getting all sort of bizarre because the seasons are changing here now. It's like getting bright at 6 a.m., which is a little bit too early. Actually, even before 6. I think today was like 5:30 or so. Soon enough, it's going to be sun all day, which is just fucking insane. And then I think we have a trip in Monaco next month. If anyone else is going to be there for the F1 race, that would be super cool. Anyways, I see a lot of familiar faces in here. Good morning to you, Mr. Big Boy George, Zen Bull Trading, Nikki Page. There she is, our lovely moderators, keeping everyone safe and Safu as always. Ray Renatus, it's a nice alliteration, rolls right off the tongue. Beautiful, man. Sean Waller, good morning to you as well. Anderson 7 and 7, bustin'. That's right, man. We had a little bit of bustin' action yesterday. Not that much bustin' action. Hey, what's up, Sanaz? Good morning to you. Capo Tico, Matador, MC, Weed Journalist, lovely, just fucking lovely, man. Mr. Mike, Druzzy, Willist, Mr. Charles Fox, good morning to everyone out there, and Michael Blast, holy fuck, man, good morning, good fucking morning indeed, and Gabor, what's up, man, good morning to you as well. Yeah, man, that sounds super cool. I've actually never been to one before, Mr. Will Charles, but I think it'd be a good experience to have, and also just kind of visit a new place as well. Crypto Chrissy, good morning to you as well. And I suppose we'll get into Shipwreck. What's up, man? I recognize a lot of these. I recognize all these names. Christopher Farland. We'll definitely get to that soon enough. I want to get through the early morning ceremonies first, and then we'll kind of roll into that as we prepare for what likely is going to be a big week this week. I do suspect. I'm going to turn down the alerts just a little bit right here so it doesn't get too much in the way. Take a few more sips of this caffeine. We got 232 likes on this video. It's doing pretty well. I think we're doing pretty well, man. It's been a big downtrend in the engagement, but you know what, man, that's okay. That's okay. And Basil Brush is beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, by the way, I'll be uploading a very long sort of interview style podcast with I think it was 5 people of the program, you know, of the Discord community and the members community, probably sometime this week, maybe even today. Could be today if everything else is kind of quiet. And I just thought it was kind of an interesting conversation. We go for like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I just think that you know, other people might find that interesting as well. So keep an eye out for that. I'm gonna sip on some of this over here as it slowly goes down. 888 watching angel number. Is that a thing? Is that a thing? Really? 888? What the fuck? What is all this numerology stuff? The numerology stuff is crazy because you'll listen to, like, I've looked a little bit into it, not because like I fully believe in it, but just, you know, out of curiosity, like genuine curiosity. And it's like one person will say one thing and then another person will say, no, that is actually false. That is a co-opt and it's actually the opposite. And it's like, fuck, man, how the hell am I supposed to wrap my brain around this? It's too much. It's too much indeed. Great podcast it will be. Hey, what's up, Josh? Been a long time, man. Hope everything's good as the TA nerds. Yeah, man, exactly. The TA nerds are the people who are tuning into this content right now too, which is great because that's who I want to be surrounded by. Honestly, I've actually been quite enjoying, especially like the last couple months here, because while things have been slower and more quiet, the people who've been sticking around, like really, you know, it really seems like there's been some good conversations, you know, just going around in the general community. So I'm more than happy to be around that, and it makes it, you know, makes it fun, makes it fucking fun, man. Greetings from San Francisco. Holy shit, man. I actually grew up around there, but it must be the dead of night for you. I can definitely tell that you, however, did not grow up in San Francisco because you refer to San Francisco as San Fran, which is fine, but it's fucking San Francisco, sir. Anyways, San Fran, SF. There you go, man. The TA nerd army rise up. That's right. We're going to go look at charts together. We're going to go take over the world by looking at fucking pixels on my computer screen, basically. Anyways, whatever you manifest in your mind, that will create the reality around you or some shit like that. That is actually what Mr. Qui-Gon said. That is actually what Qui-Gon said in episode number 1 as a great prelude to the whole, to the rest of the few trilogies. He says this. He says, remember, Anakin, your focus determines your reality. There's a lot of knowledge in that statement, actually. Pretty damn interesting. Elsa says, oh God, but you know what? She enjoyed it. She enjoyed it. At first, she was like, what? And then she's like, but I have to see in the next one now.
The scenes are too long.
She says the scenes are too long. That's the best part. That's the best part. She said, like when Anakin and Obi-Wan are battling each other at the end of episode 3, she's like, this scene's too long. It's like, bitch, the last 2 movies have been building up to this. What are you talking about? Sorry, I mean bitch as a term of endearment. I love you, sir. Anyways. Anyways, let me just polish this off and I'll get right into it. Today's video is actually going to be probably a little bit on the shorter side because things are rather, you know, I wouldn't say obvious, but rather streamlined, if you will. And then we'll get into it. Yeah, the newer ones, not so sure about, although I do like the cinematography of them. There's some cool scenes there for sure. It's a good hair day today. Yeah, man. No, until you look at the balding part at the front. But that's why we have modern medicine, of which they're going to literally cut open my head and take the hairs from the back and put them on the front. Like, how crazy is that? Who the fuck figured that out? Like, it's just... I got plenty of hairs down below too, you know. Let's see what that looks like on the top of my face. Dear Lord, man. And that's it. I'm unfollowing Krown using such language for Princess Elsa. Sorry, apologies, but it's all good. They may not hold up to the older ones, but still solid. Yeah, I mean, it's just a different, like, you can definitely tell that the newest trilogy, they don't have the soul of Star Wars. Like, they don't, they obviously don't understand what the story is actually about. Or at least that's what I would, you know, that's what I would kind of guess. Cinematography, yeah, it's just like Cinnabon, you know, in Oakland. Nice. Hey, yeah, I've spent a lot of time around there as well. Not the safest place of all time, but can be quite cool, you know, if you go to the right places. Krown, I'm over leveraged and over medicated. Well, at least one of those things is good for you. The other one, not so sure about that. the old fractals. All right, there she goes. Just washed the last down my throat, and that is a bad thing to be saying on the internet. So we got 386 likes on the video. They were doing pretty well. Actually, it's doing pretty well. All right, a little bit of water to wash that one down as well. Oh, also, I wanted to mention, because I've been getting a few, a bit, like, this has just been a weird, like, people have been asking this a lot in the comments recently about the exchange that I use. I've been using Bybit, in case you happen to give a fuck. Reason why I do is because they got the best liquidity there, and it's still kind of one of the last Wild Wild West exchanges. As always, though, you know, don't fucking sign up to exchange if you don't already have like some sort of a working, profitable strategy, which you can actually sign up for a testnet account there. But yeah, so I figured I'd mention that. I also have the link, the old shill link in the description below. Of course, gives you, you know, I don't know what is, I need to actually like look at it. 3,000 deposit bonus, whatever it might be, that you can go get wrecked with. But but again, in a more sincere tone, like, don't actually do it unless if you actually you know, do have some sort of a profitable trading strategy, and you know, and you actually have a need to go to another exchange as well. Anyways, cool. Krown, thoughts on US dollar and VIX? We can definitely get into that. That actually be an interesting one to check out today, with Dixie and Tether dominance. And yeah, we could look at VIX as well. I do suspect that Bitcoin is going to move with the general markets here. Hey, what's up, Paulin? All right, cool. Let me just make sure that all my charts are set up here so that we can streamline this as easily as possible. We'll start out here with the short term. We'll go over here for momentum, and then we want to wait, hold on. Whoops, wrong one. Let's put this one on the 5-day right there. There we go. Okay, beautiful. That's what we'll start off right over there. Okay, and then maybe we even address the Gaussian over there as well. All right, sweet. Okay, so wait, hold on. Jesus Christ. my button's not working this time. Let me just give it a second over here. Okay, bring that up. Alrighty, here we have Bitcoin. Bitcoin, of course, on the short-term timeframes, I do want to follow up on, and we do see that Bitcoin has come down to the bottom side of our blue box territory right here, as we kind of had the old LARP lines over the weekend, likely testing around this 41.5-ish region, and likely a bounce off that region as well. We have had about a 10% or a little bit more than a 10% move to the downside, pretty much unabated without any sort of meaningful bounce in between, and well, probably looking at a bit of that right now, as we do start to build up some bullish divergences on lower-term timeframes, not higher-term timeframes. Now, I do suspect that this next drive over here is likely to lead towards at least one more test towards the downside in this case, as we do see over here on CME, that same sort of regular bullish divergence drive on the 4-hour, which does represent, at least in my opinion, the lower-term timeframes, is not even there. Now, it is quite low, but can always go lower, to quote the old famous saying. and at the end of the day, I do suspect that while Bitcoin probably does test this region maybe once or twice more times, probably does set up for a bounce here sooner rather than later. The reason why I do say that is because over here on our other short-term time frame momentum oscillators, we do see that things are relatively critical right now, and it's going to be kind of difficult to maintain heavy downside pressure with short-term time frame momentum oscillators this low right now. And we can see over here, especially on CME, because I really trust CME signals on a Monday and Tuesday over spot price action. They just have a higher hit rate if you do back test them. We can see over here that we are kind of getting ready for a bit of a corrective bounce. Now, again, corrective bounce within the context of current trend does mean that the bounce likely does fail, but how high can price action get before that bounce fails? Well, we'll get into that soon enough. But for right now, we see 6-hour is going to turn back up above 42,550. Currently speaking, Bitcoin's $300 below there. So actually, still downside pressure to be fair for right now. I'd want to see that level actually taken out specifically on a 4 to 6 hour closing basis. And you also notice over here on the 4-hour, 42.5 is going to be the same sort of magical number in order to force 4-hour stochastic momentum back onto the upside. And we do see that volatility is very, very low here. Again, probably setting up for a bit of a corrective signal, as we do see that DMI is against price action right now. Anyways, on top of that, if we go down to the hourly, I imagine we're probably flippy floppy in the critical zone as well. You can see that all of these are kind of coming in from the critical zone here. So again, 42,150 or so likely aligns with a bit of sideways in the short term, maybe one more test to the downside and putting another official drive of bullish divergence on the 4-hour for spot price action, and maybe even build one up on the on CME chart, and then very likely a bounce. Now, where can bounce targets kind of get towards in this case? Well, let's go into the charts right here. Let's reference the good old LARP lines, as we have been, and anywhere around 38, or sorry, not 38, Jesus Christ, I'm getting way ahead of myself right now, but anywhere around 43,800 is fair game. That's basically the top side of the range that we have seen on the short-term timeframes right here. That's also going to be in alignment with the 382 Fibonacci retracement, obviously. Now, the 382 Fibonacci retracement in this case, if we do see a rejection right there, which I'm not calling a rejection right now, I'm just saying that if you were to see rejection right there, obviously, we actually have to wait until price action would even, get somewhere even reasonably around there to begin with. That would be obviously the next lower high. And whenever you do see, in this case, on a downtrend, a lower high at the 382, it's probably leading towards a trending move, further down in this case. By the same token, I would be looking at these next sort of areas on the, basically on the fibs, which also do correlate with price action, obviously. As kind of range resolution regions, meaning that while I wouldn't necessarily have a call that Bitcoin's going to definitely break 43,800, I would say that if it does, if we do see even a 4-hour closure above there, or even an hourly above about $44,000, I would be looking for the next leg up somewhere between the 0.5 and the 618. This is the big area right here, however, to go over a little bit of hopium, which I do think is less likely right now, but we always should go over what would be required in order to flip the hopium switch back on, would be with any sort of a higher term time frame closure above the 618 Fibonacci retracement here. That would be about $45,000. Any sort of a daily closure above there, I will call this a major bear trap, and I will flip around to being bullish, at least for another move back up somewhere around Bitcoin's current highs from late March, and probably does, insight targets much higher, actually into the deep $50,000 territory, as we reference the higher term timeframes over here. In the following week, something like that would still be relevant, $55,000, $56,000. I think that's a little bit less likely, granted what's happened in the last 72 hours, especially given that we did have both the weekly closure for CME and, of course, spot price action as well last night, closing below some very, important regions. But I suspect that as long as Bitcoin's below $45,000, it's in the way that I look at things and the way that I do things, it's not relevant to be speaking about any sort of like major hopium cases here. Anyways, that is again a bit of a juxtaposition between my short-term sort of look on this asset, meaning that short-term, I do think a little bit of sideways, very likely a bounce to open up this week. And then the question is, where does Bitcoin get its next rejection, if it gets a rejection at all? If you do see Bitcoin back above 45, which I think is unlikely, but if it were to happen, that's where I do call a bear trap confirmed. Until then, these are the areas of interest that I'd be looking for on an upside bounce in the next 48 hours or so. And to be fair, if Bitcoin were to close a full hour below about 41.6, 41.5 region, I would be looking for continuation to the downside first. And when I say continuation of the downside, I mean the next leg down, essentially basically to $40,000 or so before the next short-term, medium-term time frame bounce, most likely. Until then, just kind of looking at the same thing as we have, and we should now go over the higher term timeframes here because we have gotten a lot of things set in place over the last few days here. Okay, so first and foremost, let's go over here. Let's put it on a weekly. We can first reference spot price action because this is the new one, and we did confirm. Hey, stop that! Damn it! Damn it! There we go. We did confirm a drop of hidden bearish divergence right here, right above the neutrals, or basically right in the neutral zone as well. So it's not like a super strong, it's not a super strong signal, but typically is going to be good enough to get things back down to the bottom side of the prior range. And in this case, for the weekly, that's around your $38-ish thousand region. We also did close not just below the yellow 21 exponential moving average, but also the 55, and actually we closed below all major moving averages right here. If you are following the Krown cross, that's like not a great signal to be fair, but it's not necessarily an entry in this case as well. But ultimately, where does that likely align with things coming down towards? Again, based off the weekly RSI divergence, that does have a technical target back down to the bottom side of the prior range. And then if we do go back on over here and combine that with the underlying market dynamics, namely the global open interest, we have to remember that in the past couple weeks here in late March, we did see extreme reads. We saw extreme reads well above 14 billion, actually all the way to 14.5 billion. And anytime that we have seen any sort of a move on the open interest above 14 billion or even around there, plus price action confirming a local high, that has been leading up to at minimum a 20% pullback, and in some cases 50% pullback. Now that we're starting to lose our data from the last year, we actually can't even reference last April April from last year is what I mean to say. But just for clarity or just for perspective, Bitcoin's open interest on that last high at $48,000 or so was about 14.5 billion. The open interest that we did see representing, again, leveraged positions from last year's all-time high at $65,000 before, the end of the year, obviously. Open interest was just a smidge above there at about 14.8, I believe. Yeah, 14.8. So that kind of puts some things into perspective. I mean, shit, even just comparing it with the late December rally to $52,000, that good old Santa rally, the Santa rally that, that we deserve, right? We actually, or sorry, not we, but open interest was actually $1 billion above on that last rally that we did see to $48,000. So there's a big divergence between open interest and price action. And, the unraveling from that in the past has typically led towards about a 20% move, in some cases more. And in this case, if we were to measure a 20% move off the top, where does that put Bitcoin? About 38,000, a little bit above $38,000 in this case. Obviously, we can take that and extrapolate that signal a little bit more with the daily sorry, no, it's not. Was it over here? Yeah, well, it was over here. Yeah, that's right. The daily BBWP signal, of which in the past, let me see, where's my damn chart for this one? Here we go. The daily BBWP signal, anytime that we have seen in the past few months here, a BBWP read, around the low teens or even single digits, the resolution from that has actually had a pretty, or I wouldn't say normal, but pretty presumed. What I'm trying to say is that the result from it has been very similar each and every time. So in this case, what do we see? Coming in from this first one over here, you see that first move down. What is it, about 23%? You can see the direction was set on that first day down from expansion, represented by the green vertical bar here. The next one over here, obviously to the upside, first day up. The big expansion from that was about 24% from bottom to high. Most of that done in the first day. And then again, once again to the downside over here. Most of it done in the first day, and then goes for another about 23% or so. And then same thing over here. A good amount done in the first day. Not as much as the other ones, to be fair, but still of relevance. And another 23% move to the upside in this case. Anyways, in this case, obviously we have seen that first leg up for daily BBWP. And direction was set in the first day, and so far, Bitcoin's done from high to low about 13.5%, which is, a good amount. Definitely a lot actually when you do think about things. But 20%, where does that put us? Obviously $20,000 or not 20,000. Sorry, apologies. Definitely needed more sleep last night. About 38,000 or so, give or take. So I think the hopium case, if Bitcoin does get that continuation, maybe after another short-term time frame bounce, is that Bitcoin will put in a weekly higher low in this region right here. Let me kind of do the old LARP lines for this one, but basically something like this, where maybe it bounced first, comes down like that, and sets in a higher low, and then flips back around later this quarter, and very clearly trades above what is our current local high at about $47,000 or so. If we see something like that, that would obviously be very long-term bullish. I think that this is a little bit more of the hopium case right here. I do think that there are some other relatable reasons to perhaps be more bearish long-term, obviously. But this is, now we're getting a little bit too far away from things, so I don't think that is as relevant. Anyways, what we should also check out over here is our daily stochastic momentum on CME, as it's going to massively differ from spot price action. There's actually something really, really important happening right here. A couple of things, actually. One, we have broken the regression trend line that was right at the edge of the bullish control zone, and now nosediving well below it, and will be remaining with downside momentum on the daily, a rather powerful time frame, as long as Bitcoin's below $47,000. Also, the DMI has switched to negative, as of like 3 closures ago. So that is suggesting more downside. Now, this is different on spot price action. Keep in mind, on spot price action, we're very, very low here, obviously, and really wouldn't take too much to flip it back up. But what does that likely leads towards? Maybe a short-term corrective move, but CME does still say pressure down. On top of that, we also did confirm a 5-day closure last night. In the 5-day, the 5-day is also kind of telling us something of particular interest over here. As remember, the 5-day for, where's my damn chart for this one? I think it's right here. Yeah, there we go. The 5-day, I won't go through the full explanation of this. If you want the full explanation of it, definitely check out yesterday's video in the long-term analysis playlist. But in this case right here, Bitcoin did not close specifically below the critical 5-day region, that it was $42,000 yesterday, but closing right at it, obviously, and then that number going up to keep momentum to the upside is not a signal that it's not a good signal is what I'm saying. It's certainly not a signal that there's like still significant upside pressure right now. Now, of course, you do want to see this obviously confirm below that momentum level before the expansive phase of the 5-day BBWP, which, by the way, didn't just take another leg down. Now it's back below the moving average. So we still have not seen the official expansion from this. So I do suspect that, we could actually see this signal evolve a little bit more and go back into like dormancy, basically, maybe a bounce up to like 43.5 or something like that, comes back down, sets in a higher low right here. And then if we see the expansion, a big thing like that, that would actually be what I think is kind of like the long-term bullish case. Until then, I do still think that there's pressure down, and well, I suppose that we'll kind of follow up on this as time goes onwards and forwards. Anyways, I will also humbly request, as we get to the end of this video here, that if you did enjoy this content, if you did think that this was in some way valuable, or if you just want to, give back to the channel in some sort of a free way as well, liking the video would be a very easy way to do that. Anyways, other than that, I want to wish you well, and there you go for Bitcoin, sirs and zers. Lovely. All right, cool. So nice. We got through that one nice and easy. I was actually a little bit on edge there, simply because my I don't know. I woke up all weird this morning. I really do feel that when the seasons are changing, man, like something weird happens in my brain. And like for the first week or so, I don't feel on top of things. Anyways, let's see. Let's get through the chats over here. Much love, my man, indeed, Mr. Frig Diggler. Ayo, says Elizabeth. Nice one. And Crypto Nair. Love it, man. Fucking love it. All right, cool. Let me get through some of these comments over here. I'm going to take a sip of this water first, and then we'll jump right into it. Josh says, namaste. Namaste indeed, my friend. Thank you, sir, for feeding us TA nerds. Such great. Hey, man, I appreciate that, and thank you. And hope everything's well, man. I haven't heard from you in a little bit of time. Crypto Surfer 808s, just another positive message, man. It's a good start to this week. Fucking love it, baby. Fucking love it, man. And thank you. Mahalo. Hey, what's up, Thomas Moore? Okay, so Thomas Moore says waves, more downside question mark. Okay, and then you have a question about an indicator. We can address that in a second, but let me just quickly look at this one. Waves, and I'm guessing you're on higher term timeframes, or it doesn't really compute based off of what you're saying. I think that you're probably going to see a bounce relatively soon, but I also do think that you've seen a major high here as well. We do see 1, 2, 3, 4 drives of bearish divergence on a massively lower high on weekly RSI alongside, a decently higher high right here. Weekly BBWP, like this is a weekly. You typically don't see this like very often on a weekly, by the way. This is, extreme conditions right here. It's actually only been higher than this once in its history, basically. The second that this starts to go below the moving average is where it's really start to call like a much deeper correction here, probably more long-term, somewhere down around like 12, maybe even $10 or so. But for right now, if you're looking at a daily, probably sets up for a short-term bounce relatively soon. Bounces come up even to like low 40s. I'm not saying that it's going to, but it could, and that wouldn't really mean too much. But ultimately, I do think that you pull back further before it's all said and done. Anyways, as far as your Waifu Hunter says, if the butt hair implants are on the head, does dandruff become dinkleberries? Well, seeing as most people poop out of their bungholes, probably not. But that's a really good question. I'll have to ask my doctor about that one next time. Hey doc, I'm thinking about sticking my pubes on my face. Do you think that's going to increase the schmegma count on my nose? Well, he's Finnish, so he'll probably take me at face value. Anyways, also, is Pmrp usable in the short term? Of course it is. It just depends what your strategy is and how you use it. Is your preference stochastic, RSI, BBWP, bound by validations and invalidations? No, I don't use two momentum oscillators together in any particular strategy. What I will do is I'll use like RSI, I always want something for trend, volatility, momentum. So to have two momentum oscillators together is like meaningless to me. Pmrp is like not, it's more of a volatility thing than anything actually, or actually kind of fall under the umbrella of like statistical quantitative analysis. But yeah, as far as my current strategies goes, I do have the ones that I'm running is one of them does combine a Pmrp, BBWP, and moving averages. The other one combines BBWP, RSI, and moving averages. So yeah, other than that, I don't think I have too much else to say. But yeah, is Pmrp usable in short term? Absolutely, it's usable in short term. But like, how are you going to use it? What is your plan with it? This was actually a really good conversation that we had in the Discord. I think it was like over the weekend or something, where someone was asking like, Krown, if you got a signal on something, or he was asking me to like post a video of me looking at a signal and then saying, I'm not going to take this signal. It's like, no, you don't understand the whole purpose of trading and trading and like the role of technical analysis or whatever it might be analysis in your trading plan. Look, your trading plan, like a signal based off of an indicator is not a fucking plan. That's not a fucking plan. A plan is maybe combining multiple signals, but using that to formulate an entry and exit and a risk management at bare fucking minimum. So, just because like you get a signal on a Pmrp or a RSI or whatever fucking indicator you might be using or not, it doesn't matter. That's not a plan. That's just a signal that might just be noise. In fact, if you don't have a plan, it is just noise. It's fucking garbage. It's bullshit. And if you learn that lesson a lot earlier in life, you'll save yourself a lot more financial pain. I can assure you of that, because I did not, and it wasn't pleasurable. I can assure you of that. Anyways, hey, what's up, Toby One? Good morning to you, man. Can you look at Hedron? What is Hedron? What is this thing? Yeah, I did, Josh. Oh, sorry. Is there another Josh one? Oh, there's Condre Silva. I appreciate that, man. But feel free to have a message as well. Just some nice emoticons. Thanks, man. Appreciate that, brother. Oh shit, and I actually skipped Mr. Tyler Bonkovoss over here. Bonk me up, Captain Krown. Coming in with LPI USD. Okay, on New York Stock Exchange, my bastard. Okay, so if this is a stock, you actually don't put the USD in there. Just a heads up. Otherwise, I'll think it's like a cryptocurrency. But if you're talking about this, that trades on NYSE. let's see, then this would just be the chart right here. Anyways, you're on a 4 hour and a daily and a weekly. Daily, this one actually looks really, really good long term. I see many higher lows. I see essentially a long-term macro reaccumulation. It's probably not ready anytime soon, as this is quite literally a weekly chart, and it's a little bit of an aggressive slope right there, which is actually not the best sign, but perhaps something a little bit more like this is appropriate in this case. Probably not looking at resolution on this thing until like deep in the next quarter at minimum. Or sorry, that was a daily, but let's go to the weekly. Weekly, again, quite good. I'm definitely, I wouldn't say definitely, but I'm bullish on this as long as you're above about $64 or so. Looking for another move up to like $97, $98, probably a pullback there, and then any sort of a closure above that $98 region. I'd be looking for this one to actually explode quite a fair bit towards 150 to 160 or so. I'm sure that that's also going to be in alignment with technical target based off of this ascending triangle formation right here. Actually much higher in this case, about 180. So that's kind of what's at stake right now. Long term, is this the reversal that you're looking for? It actually very well could be based off the volume signature. Anyway, short-term timeframes, probably opens up the week on a bit of a short-term pullback. I actually remain even short-term bullish as long as you're above about 78.5. Below 78.5, I do look for deeper corrections down to 72 to 73 region. Until then, it's the higher term timeframes are a lot more obvious on this one, in my opinion. Quite good, actually. Quite good indeed. All right, sweet. Dr. Colossus says, can you check out LRC? Yeah. What is this, loop ring or? Yeah, it's loop ring. All right, loop ring. Okay, see what this one's doing. Daily and weekly. I know that this one definitely has more history than that, or does it? Yeah, it certainly does, right? I'm nearly positive it has more history than this. So let's see if we can find it. Maybe on like a coin chart or something like that. Maybe even Poloniex actually. Okay, well, whatever. We can do it on this one anyways. Similar chart to Bitcoin in this case, in the sense that your $48,000 high is this 130 region right here. Short term, I do think could very easily bounce, come up even decently above $1 again. But I would remain bearish on this chart as long as it's not bearish is not the right word, but I'd be remaining looking for more downside overall as long as you're below about 113 on a daily closing basis. Back above there, I would actually flip around to looking at this as your next sort of short kind of bit of a higher low, obviously, to a lesser extent a bit of a bear trap in this case as well. Oh god damn it, Jason, you motherfucker, get out of here. Daily and weekly. So let me see what's on the weekly over here. Weekly, I mean, honestly, what I think you're doing right here is I think you're just creating a bit of a weekly range where that's your highs, here's your lows right here, and you probably come back down, and then the hopium is like, maybe after short-term bounce, so you set in a higher low right here and then flip back around specifically above that last rejective high. That would obviously be long-term bullish. And to be fair, long-term, this one has been holding its weekly higher lows, which is a really good sign. But I'd be a little bit more surprised if you did just straight up right from here, to be frank. Long term would be very awful, obviously, if you do break below about 74 cents, but I would not call that in its current posturing, or at least as of right now. I think that you probably come back down around there, set up for another bounce, and then direction is likely set. And then short term, very likely trades with Bitcoin, a little bit of a short term bounce probably in store there, assuming that Bitcoin does pull through. But goddamn, this chart's throwing me for a loop because it obviously does not trade on this exchange, but yeah, it should be good enough on the higher term timeframes anyways. All right, sweet. Mr. Toby one, he's back. Okay, Hedron. Okay, this is a new one for me. I did all the reds, yeah. Terrible. Jesus Christ, man. Really awful here. Toby, what is this? Toby. Hold on. You were the chosen one. Oh, it must be another hex thing because it's hex trades versus it. Whatever this is, not good. There's going to be bounces along the way, but I suspect that this one does have significant more downside to go. Probably finds its way back down around here, if I had to guess. But there's going to be bounce along the way. I would remain very bearish on this as long as you're below about whatever the hell this region is right here, 35,500 or so, whatever that number represents. We are 4 weeks from pulse line. Sorry, I was being told it was like 2 weeks away, like 6 months ago. Are you sure? I'd actually be quite excited if it is, because because like I did say, I did sacrifice to it, but just been patiently waiting, man. Just been patiently waiting. Anyways, no major issues with that, brother, and hope all is well, sir. Crypto Chrissy is next. She is looking at KNC. It broke out on the daily, weekly, monthly. Okay, well, let's see. It'd be kind of a bit of an outlier if it has, but yeah, I would agree it has. And I don't know when the last time we charted this one was. It must have been like way back on over here in February. But yeah, it absolutely fucking flew right past that region after a little bit of a stutter step. I'd be looking for new, hold on, would I say new all-time? I don't know about new all-time, but I would be looking for continuation overall into the end of this month. This is very, very good. Best chart that we've seen today, except for that. Well, actually, it's even better than that stock because it doesn't have as big of a long-term downtrend, to be fair. Anyways, daily, weekly, monthly, I'm just looking. There's going to be pullbacks along the way, obviously, but I'm actually looking for continuation from here. I wouldn't really be looking for the next like major pullback, if you will, into likely a higher low in this case, until we do see daily BBWP get maybe a little bit higher, somewhere a little bit closer to 95 percentile, which is very, very close to already, to be fair, and then turn back down below the moving average. At that point, I do look for a correction, but for right now, I guess I'm actually looking higher on this one. It is getting a little bit extended here, but overall, I'd actually be looking for this one to probably test around $5.5, maybe even $6 in the next month or two. Pretty damn good, actually. Certainly one of the better charts that we're probably going to see today. And again, there will be pullbacks along the way. I'd be looking at daily, maybe 12-hour gets this one as well. Yeah, 12 hours probably got one more continuation drive and then a bit of a pullback. Cool. All right, let me scroll back on over here, and I think it is time for Mr. Christopher Forland. Definitely not from North Korea, but from Norway. Well, because it says NOK, and then I always think like North Korea. It's like NOK, like it's Norwegian kroner, right? Yes. I see. See, I know something about culture. Luna 4-hour and daily, sure, man. Let's see what Luna's doing over here. Yeah, the pullback is happening, and I expect that we're probably gonna get a short-term bounce here, but I do expect that this one does pull back further over time as well. All right, let's get rid of the more long-term here because that is not relevant. We also don't need two of these because they're literally representing the same goddamn thing. And here we have Terra Luna symbol LUNA versus the dollar. And I want to follow up on sort of the long-term scale of this one, and then we'll go into the short-term as well. But basically, we were looking at a move somewhere around the 118 to 125 region based off of the technical breakout that we saw a few weeks ago. That move has essentially been hit, also in line with the 1.414, or actually between the 1.414 and the 1.618, which was our sort of pullback area. Alongside that pullback, we did say a move down to the daily 55, which was about $90, was likely we've gotten that. So would be kind of aligned with right now. Well, keep in mind that the weekly, which just closed last night, has confirmed multiple drives of regular bearish divergence come off of that extreme high right there. Also on top of that, we are seeing BBWP turn up here, but this is alongside of a local high being confirmed. So I do suspect that this one does have more downside to go overall. But if we are comparing that with the short-term timeframes, just like Bitcoin, I do think that we're probably setting up for a short-term bounce relatively soon. You can see short-term timeframe bullish divergence is starting to build up over here on 4-hour RSI, but it's not confirmed just yet. At some point, there very likely will be a bounce. Bounce can come back up very easily into the into like maybe even the mid 90s or perhaps even back up to $100. But I would actually be looking at this one as topped out for a while. Very specifically, as long as you're closing dailies below about 105, and likely more long-term downside to go. Next corrective target would be somewhere around about 75. Very likely a short-term bounce there, and then we'd come back to it after that. If things really get nasty, like let's say the whole market falls apart, I don't think that's what's happening right now. But if that were to happen, I'd be looking at corrective targets down towards 55 to $60. Until then, I do think that you could get something like this where you probably play out a short-term bounce, come back down to the 21. In the mid 70s, which is also not 0.5, and then perhaps give another try to the upside. I think that would be the more bullish look, but overall, I do think that this one has more downside likely to go than not after perhaps a short-term bounce. So hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for Luna. Maybe we just briefly check out stochastic momentum as well, just to see if that kind of aligns with the analysis, or if it's or if it's not. Yeah, daily stochastic is absolutely nosediving here below 110. Weekly, is going to freshly turn down below 93. So yeah, I do suspect this one does have some more downside to go. And then 5-day here as well has a freshly crossed the downside below 106. So yeah, I'm generally looking for more downside over the next month or so. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Luna, sir. I know that some people are going to be, but Krown, did you hear that Do Kwon is buying Luna? Doesn't fucking matter, man. There is someone else selling him that Luna or that Bitcoin or whatever the fuck I don't even know what he's buying. Doesn't matter. It's going down. It's going down. No, of course things do matter. But I've just seen these sort of narratives get played up a lot in this sort of a land where it's like, how could you be bearish when Do Kwon is buying 100 million of Bitcoin a day? It's like, do you understand how big this market is? 100 million, it's a good amount. Yes, it's definitely a good amount, but there's always bigger fish in the sea, and someone does need to sell you that. You can't just buy it out of thin air as well. So, do you understand that? And then it's like, people think that he's like doing it on fucking Coinbase. I would strongly think, now I don't know because I haven't spoken to him and I haven't really followed the story, but I would assume that he's doing this like OTC. He's probably like linked up with like an OSL or like a Finex desk and just like, hey, I want to buy $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. How are we going to do that? Well, let's just buy it in like 100 million tranches. Like that's pretty, you can do that, quite easily through those big brokers, man. It's really not that big of a deal, to be quite honest with you. I'm not saying that it's easy to do, but it's it's not that it's super common, but it's certainly not unheard of. Anyways, let's see. We have there he is, Jack. What's up, Mr. Jack? Yeah, let's get into this one. Ethereum. Interesting one on Ethereum, actually. Let me take a sippy sip of this, and then we'll get into a general analysis of Ethereum. There we go. There we go. Crypto ASMR. Nice name, man. Here we have Ethereum versus the dollar. We'll do a general overview on this one at the request of Mr. Jack Asselman. And in this case, what do we see on the weekly? We do see the weekly is actually, did it close below last week's low? It did close below last week's low. So I'm gonna look at this as a local high, and I would be looking for a general pullback, likely a little bit further to the downside before the next meaningful bounce in this case. In this case, we do see on the daily right here, a bit of a short-term range is starting to evolve and probably does align with the short-term bounce. Where would I call a bear trap and no further continuation to the downside and very likely big moves to the upside? And when I say big moves, I mean targets towards 3,800 to probably more like 4,000 bucks. That would be with the daily closure, very specifically above 3,450. And until that happens, I do look at short-term bounces as likely to lead towards continuation to the downside. And we actually, no, we do not have another drive of hidden bearish divergence right there. But on the full hour, I am looking at the base of this sort of, let me see, do I have a chart in here? I do, but not much. But I am looking at a base somewhere around the 200 simple. So perhaps another drive to the downside and then very likely a bounce off this region right here. Bounces can come up anywhere towards 3,200 to 3,250 or so. Doesn't really do anything, obviously. Again, I do not call a bear trap until at minimum this thing's trading back above. I could actually argue 3,400 on a daily closing basis, not 3,450, but at least 3,400 in this case. Until then, short-term bounces likely lead towards more continuation to the downside, mostly based off of Bitcoin right here, because I think Bitcoin's an easier chart. To be fair on Ethereum, if we go to a 5-day and a weekly, it actually did not close below any major moving averages. So, if there's any indication that this market might actually, put in a bear trap right here, I think Ethereum's more on that side. We can go line this up with stochastic momentum as well, and then we'll bring this one full circle. But 5-day stochastic momentum will turn down below 3,000. So for right now, it still remains up. Weekly is obviously gonna be up as well, above 2,400. So this is actually not super concerning just yet. 2 days obviously down below 35, and daily is nosediving below about 33, 35 or so. So probably still another day or two of correction or corrective price action here. If we go down to the 4-hour time frame, we do see it actually nosediving below about 32.50. 6-hour, which I quite like recently as well, is freshly crossing down below 32.50 as well. So that number shown up a couple times. 3-hour is also pivoted below about 32.80, and hourly is going to be doing what? It's going to be flippy floppy at about 31.80 as well. So, short term, what does that align with? Maybe one more drive to the downside for a slightly lower low, and then very likely does start to play out those divergences for a bounce, which bounce can come up very easily to like 32.50 or so. But yeah, until we get resolution above about 3,400 at minimum, I do refrain from calling this one a bear trap. I do think that there is a setup here, obviously, and perhaps Do we have hidden bullish evidence present on a daily? It would if it confirms a local low here, but that's not happening until you're back above about 3350 and basically 3400. So I still kind of remain with those pivots in this case until those areas are reclaimed. I do expect that short-term bounces likely lead towards one more drive to the downside. And then it's probably just going to be easy to look at Bitcoin for general direction. So hopefully that was helpful for Ethereum. And there you go, sir. And did I address your question about the 4 hour? I think I did. Yeah, 4 hour. Yeah, 4 hour, probably one more test around the lows, maybe even a little bit lower, and then you'll start to create some significant divergence right here. For right now, these sort of shallow drives don't typically play out that well, especially coming in from the weekend. It's just going to be easier to watch Bitcoin in my opinion. But that is just my opinion after all. Adrian Rene says INJ, USD, daily and weekly. Okay, so this is injective. Yeah, I know that we've looked at this one in the past, but I forget what it looks like. And it looks like shit. Definitely not playing alongside the rest of the market. While the rest of the market was putting in some pretty significant rallies, this one, not the same, not of the same cut. Let's go down to a daily really quickly here. I suppose that you do have a little bit of hopium as long as you're above about 580, let's say 580 on a daily closing basis. But the second that you start to close below there, I'd confirm this is your next local high. And if that's a local high, then it's a lower high. And I look for, moves back down towards low $5, that being between about 520 to 5 base actually. Could you get continuation of new lows from there? Definitely possible, but I wouldn't call it just yet. I would call continuation of new lows over the next couple months if you see any sort of a daily closure below $5, however. But until then, I do think that, I think that you're generally going to come back down, test around your short-term time frame range lows at about 575, probably have a little bit of a short-term bounce there, and then assuming that Bitcoin takes another move to the downside, this one probably falls as well. I would flip around to being bullish on this one with targets up towards like $8 plus actually. If you can see a daily closure above 680, very specifically 680, I think it's less likely, but that would be my sort of criteria for that. So hopefully that's helpful. And, again, whenever we see a chart that's generally been in a long-term downtrend, I'm not going to be a humongous fan of it. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful though, man. Let's see, let's plot back in over here and we have Rogue American. Nice name, man. Very patriotic indeed. Like the three bald eagle, or what was their name? The three eagles or the birds of war. Can you please take a look at Maha? All right. It's Maha means stomach and finish. And you learn something very useful every day. And give me some TA on the daily and weekly. Sure, man. The curly-headed fuck. Yeah, man. So this one's interesting to me for the simple fact that it hasn't really played significantly to the downside alongside the rest of the market, nor the upside. It's kind of been in like one major long-term range, it looks like. Anyways, I do suspect that you have a little bit of hopium right here, but I can tell you where the hopium ends, at least for myself, and that is very obviously below 360 on a daily closing base. If that does happen, I do look for this whole last rally that you saw beginning in middle of March to be unraveled back down to like low $3 region, and maybe even, well, I'd say low $3 region, and then come back to it after that. Until then, where is your continuation, or at least my sort of continuation conditions? That's above 417 on a daily closure. At that point, I do look for this one to retest into like $5, probably even shallow $5 from there would be actually quite decent. So this one, usually I say some variation of it's just easy to watch Bitcoin. I don't necessarily have the same idea about this one, to be honest with you. If I'm looking at a 4 hour, it's completely different price action than what we see on Bitcoin. We see higher lows, not lower highs, and we do see what would fit the bill as a reaccumulation formation right here in the format of an ascending triangle. And again, that does have validation above about 414, let's say, even on a short-term time frame closure in this case. And yeah, I would be looking for a move up. I guess I have drawn this one before. First about 440, probably short-term stop there, and then very likely 465, another short-term stop there, and then I actually would say very, very likely to head up above $5. Yeah, a different chart. I only get bearish below, again, about 360 on a daily. It seems like you're more interested in higher term time frames. So yeah, hopefully that is more relevant to you. Mr. Venegas, he's back. A little late today. All good, brother. Considering Bitcoin bounce, can you check out OGN4 and daily? Yes. Yeah. And look, like, let's say Bitcoin's bounce does end up turning it, or does start to validate a bit of a bear trap there, then you're gonna see that thing absolutely fucking fly. OGN, I think that you're confirming a macro lower high right here, it looks like. Let me just scroll back a little bit more. Yeah. I do think that you're confirming a bit of a macro lower high. There might be one more bounce along the way. Bounces can come back up towards like 65-ish cents or so. But I would be looking at this as your next major macro lower high, as long as you're below basically like 60, just above 66 cents on a higher term time from closing basis, like a daily. You could even use 66 probably good, or 65 cents is fine. Until then, short term, what are we looking at right here on a 4-hour, which it sounds like, you are interested in. Bounce can come up a little bit more short term to like 55 cents. Not problematic for the current trend. Obviously, I do think that you're generally going to find your way back down towards 48 to 50 cents or so base before the next sort of potential bounce. And then I'll just kind of look at this as a bit of a short-term range, meaning that any sort of a closure below this 47 cent region, and I look for the next range lows to probably get hit somewhere back down around here in this case, which is like a 40 cent base for the short term. I'm basically a long way of saying, you're probably going to see a bit of sideways, probably some bounce along the way, but as long as this thing's below 65 cents, I would be quite bearish on it. Not a humongous fan of this one, but it's not as bad as some of the other ones we've seen too, so fair enough, kind of par for the course, I guess. Anyways, what? Go down. Some G. Oh, sir, can you please tell me, for the love of God, is that your real name? Because you have like one of the best names of all time. Soul on the daily, yeah. So, some G. That's that's amazing, man. Oh my God, your name is I really hope that your name is Some G. You had to go to school and teacher calls out, okay, we're gonna do roll call today, and all right, is Billy Badass here? Here is Some G here. It's like it sounds like you're a fucking gangster, dude. It sounds like your teacher's gonna be afraid of you. Soul on the daily. Sorry, man, and whatever I'm saying right there, man. Like I really hope that would be interpreted as just just a genuine curiosity, man. I'm not like trying to make you feel bad or make fun of you or anything like that. Hopefully that doesn't need to be said, but you never know on the interwebs, man. You never know on the interwebs. Just genuine respect for that as like a fucking badass name. Anyways, okay, Solana is very interesting to me here, actually. All right, okay, here we have Solana on the daily. We'll actually do a general overview on this one because it is showing slightly different signals than some of the other ones that we looked at today, which I think deserves a bit of respect. In this case, I do look at 107 area as a bit of a short-term base, that is. So that means that as long as you're closing dailies above there, I actually do look for this one to put in a decent bounce first. Short term, perhaps later this week or so. But I do want to call into question the weekly right here. And as always, whenever we're looking at an altcoin, you kind of have to be aware of what Bitcoin's doing as well. And in this case, I do expect that Bitcoin, could very easily have another leg down. If that is to happen, I'd be looking at Solana to very likely come back down somewhere around $85 to $90 based off the weekly right here, as you do have a bit of a local high. It's actually not confirmed on Solana. However, it is confirmed on Bitcoin. So, I'm probably going to align with that a little bit better. But in the short term, could you bounce back up to 115 to 120ish region? Wouldn't be asking for too much, to be fair. But ultimately, I think the long-term bullish looks, you do something like this, where after a bit of a short-term rejection, you do come down and set in a weekly higher low somewhere here in that mid to low $80 region, and then flip back around later this year and plot back above about 140. And at that point, that would be a really, 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 really good long-term accumulation with targets back up towards probably $200 plus. Until then, I think, is there short-term hopium on this one? And there's always gonna be short-term hopium, right? But where does the hopium get confirmed as a bit of a bear trap here? For this one, it'd be with a daily closure above 130. So if you do see a bounce, sometime this week and brings it back up above 130, I would say that would also be, of relevance as well for major continuation to the upside. Until then, I do suspect that short-term bounces likely lead towards one more move to the downside. That's probably at the point where I'd be looking for on a higher low if it is going to be ending up to be long-term bullish. I do want to check out momentum oscillators over here, and then maybe we go over the short-term as well if that's relevant. Let's go to the daily. Daily is nosediving as far as stochastic momentum goes, as long as you're below about 125 on a closing basis. 5-day is still decently up above about $86, and weekly is also vertical above about $80 as well. So I do like that for the long term, but short term, I do expect that you probably have probably do fail the next bounce. But yeah, if we do scroll down to the lower term timeframes, 110 on the 4-hour, and we already saw the 6-hour, which was kind of around the same area, and hourly is 110 as well. So probably aligns with the short term bounce. Let's go over here to a 4-hour. Well, I look at a 4 and I look at a 4 and I think maybe we might see one more move to 105 first before a bit of a short term bounce. I do think that this one swipes the downside one more time actually before a potential bounce. I think I'll leave it right there. I'd go with Bitcoin's analysis in this case, but hopefully that was helpful in Solana, man. Let's see. Brian Flores says, "Hey Krown, can you take a look at Jasmy?" Sure. No time frames given. That's going to make it a little bit more difficult to make it relevant to you, but I'll try my best with a 4-hour daily. And we have a shitty weekly, and we have a shitty daily, and we have a shitty 4-hour. Holy fuck! It's shitty, man. It's bad. It's real fucking bad. Worst shot of the day. It only ever goes down. It got its first pity bounce. And it goes down before everything else. Yeah, terrible, absolutely terrible. If you're in the program, this would be an example of a daily Krown cross to the downside on that last rejection, not on the actual high, but at about 35 cents. It looks like. There's going to be bounces along the way. Obviously, it's not going to go straight down, but I do expect that this one does go down further over time. If that is your general question. 4-hour, yeah, it's just ugly here. I have no reason to not be bearish on a piece of shit like this. A very technologically advanced altcoin that is under whale accumulation, as long as you're below about 40 cents or so. Awful, worst chart of the day. Thanks, Pimpin. You're welcome, Pimpin. CRO on the daily and weekly. Gotcha. All right, so this is crypto.com. Actually, I think Elsa should get one of these cards. She's learning how to farm. She thinks like you actually farm. No, that's not it. Like in Animal Crossing? No, it's not farming like Animal Crossing. It's farming like nerd language, I think. Again, I do think that you're generally in like a macro consolidation range here, but what's that? Another lower high, man. This one did not make a higher high alongside the general market, which is not a good sign of relative strength, obviously, but I generally think that you're probably going to do something like this. Could be a short-term bounce somewhere around there and then likely comes back down. The long-term boo law-ish look would be you get a higher low somewhere, above about 40 cents or so, kind of run on the same trend line that we see right here, governing your current lows. I'd get very, very bearish long-term if you see this one below like 39 cents. I wouldn't necessarily say that's like my main idea of what's happening right now, but short-term, it's very similar to Bitcoin, right? Another drive of hidden bearish evidence right here. Probably one more drive to the downside. You already got the easy one right there. So the next target would be about 43 cents. Maybe a short-term bounce there, but I do expect that you do have lower to go. I'd only invalidate that with a daily move back of about 47 cents. At that point, I would get bullish for moves back up towards the top side of your general consolidation range, which is like shallow 50-cent region. Hopefully that was helpful, man. FA says, "Hey sir, what's up, man? Looking to short PYR on KCoin. Can you short these altcoins, sir?" Vulcan Forged. 4-hour showing weakness on the 4th retest of support. 1263 likely to break, targeting 990 or lower. I mean, that's a pretty big move based off of a 4-hour. Let's see. Okay. So, hold on. This is probably not the right chart. Let's go to KuCoin. No, this is pretty similar, but generally speaking, what do you have here? You got hidden bearish divergence, you got a downtrend, you got volatility still actually on the rise right there. Yeah, I expect that you got another move to the downside. I would not, however, if I'm trading the 4-hour, I would not blindly target 990. I'd actually target like 1175 to 1180 or so. If I'm on a daily, is that more relevant? No, still, I think I'd be targeting like $11 if you really see like a flush here. Long term, you might get your targets, but if I was just basing this off of a 4-hour, fuck no. I would not say so. Weekly, you got another swing high, it looks like in play here. This would be your next lower high. And this would actually be your first lower high on a weekly, since your all-time high. So long term, I think you could very easily get your targets met towards like 9.25 to 8.5 or so, but that would be based off like the weekly right here. And I would say that would be confirmed with the weekly closure below about like 11.5 $11.5 is kind of where I'd look for on that one. If I'm just trading the 4, I'm probably looking for another move down to like 12.50 to 11, or what was it? 12.50 to like 12.25 or something. It's just a 4 hour after all, man. You can't be looking for the home run, at least in my opinion. It looks like you'd be more interested in trading the weekly there, perhaps. And I almost spilled my damn coffees. Don't do it. Oh, Googly Lee, what's up, man? Hello, sir. Finally beat Elden Ring. Congrats, man. But there's so much stuff going on. I'm not sure I've explored half of it. I know. You could spend 100 hours in that game and not like see even 50% of it. It's insane. GMT. Okay, GMT. GMT on the hourly and 4. Okay, gotcha. What the fuck is this thing, man? Good. This is actually among the best charts that we've seen today. I'd actually be looking for continuation somewhere around 260 to 265. Any sort of a closure above about 266, I'd say. Yeah, about two. Let's just call it like 270. Be a little more lenient on this because the general market kind of moved in the opposite direction, and I'd be looking for a retest to your highs if that were to happen. But for right now, I'm looking for a continuation on the hourly and 4 hour. Invalidations below about 235 or so. It's good. One of the best charts we've seen today, among the best charts we've seen today. Not much of a daily to be looking at, but yeah, don't know what the fuck this thing is, but it's quite good actually. Volatility about to turn up. You got another higher low, 4 hour jewel, giving me another fresh signal. I'm going to say likely more up. Sweet. Yeah, it's always interesting on days like today where you see something like this, and I think a couple of the other ones that we've seen today as well. Okay. Casey says the lean green up only machine 4 and daily on Itchy versus Ethereum. Oh God. What are we getting into over here? Itchy farm. Oh, this is a farm. I did do Jesus, yeah. Jesus. I rule. Whoa, what the fuck? This is pretty good. What the hell is this thing, man? Now it's trading versus Ethereum, but maybe go to Uniswap. Yeah, same chart here. Both pretty damn good. I don't have anything to really add on to this. I would say that you're probably going to be looking for a decent pullback soonish towards like 0.023-ish region. You are seeing extremes here twice on daily BBWP, and you are starting to see couple drives of bearish divergence form, or actually 3 drives of bearish divergence form on the macro. So I do think that you're going to correct probably this week, maybe next week. And then over the course of like the next, few weeks, probably down to like 0.025, and then maybe even long-term down to like 0.185. And then at that point, I'd be looking for a higher low and then maybe continuation long-term. But for right now, again, among some of the better charts that we've seen today, pretty damn good. Very interesting right there, actually. Mr. Martin Hunt, good morning to you, man. Could you look at XMR on the daily with the yes? Moneros. Okay, let's see what she's doing. Pretty good, actually. This is very interesting to see. I would not have expected this. I have to be looking for more upside on Monero. 250. Let's see, on a daily and a weekly. Let's go to the weekly. Weekly, good. I'm bullish on this thing as long as you're above 215. As long as you're above 215, man, I'm looking upwards and onwards. 255 to 260 would be another area of interest to the upside, and then you got 300, low $300 region. Very, very interesting right here. I'm bearish below 215, but for right now, one of the better ones. Daily BBWP expanding, daily RSI freshly in the bullish control zone. It's an uptrend. It's continuation. I'm actually quite good. Very interesting to see. Again, kind of bodes well for the general market, I suspect, but maybe it could also be like, privacy coins are kind of getting their time in the sun now as well. Ahmed says Avax 4 hour and daily. Okay, Avax. Yeah, not super interesting. Definitely on the short term weaker side. Let's see what the 4 hour looks like. I think you might have one more move to the downside somewhere around like your 77-ish region or so, and then likely a bouncing coming from there. I mean, you've kind of already broken down. Most things haven't broken down just yet, but multiple drives of hidden bearish divergence and down. I'm probably looking for maybe one more drive towards like 77 or so, and very likely a short-term bounce there. Short-term bounce, not the same thing as reversal though. I would call a bear trap above about 92.25 on a daily. Until then, I think at best you're going. I actually really don't know on a daily, to be honest with you. If if anything, I'd probably be looking lower, I guess, to like the low 70s, but it's kind of, okay, here we go on the weekly. I know you asked about it, but the weekly shows a bit more of a long-term range here, where we really only need a couple things. There's the top side of your range. Here's the bottom side of your range, basically around the 55. You know, if I'm going to say my bias is, you know, maybe a short term, one more try to the downside, then very likely a bounce short term, and then probably does end up coming somewhere down around here. And, you know, if you're bullish, you're probably setting a higher low, and then plot back above your $99 region or so. If you're bearish, you probably set another lower high, and then kiss it goodbye for a long time. Other than that, I don't have really strong opinions. Cecilia says, "Hey, Krown, what's up, Cecilia? Can you look at near on the 4-hour and daily?" Yeah. So this is another one that was looking pretty good last week, but I suspect that it's probably actually looks still good there. So I was looking for a pullback. Yeah, I was looking for a pullback. Am I going to get it? We do get our first drive of official bearish divergence right there, going into a bit of a contraction phase. Short term on a 4-hour. I was going to say short term on a 4-hour probably does set up for another bounce. It still might bounce back up towards like 17 or maybe even 17 and a half, but I do think that you put in a short term high here. I would invalidate that above 18 and a quarter on even a 4-hour closure. Until then, I do suspect that you probably still pull. I kind of stick with what I've been saying here. I do think that you still pull back probably somewhere around like 13 and a half to $14, and that's what I'd be looking for on a higher low. You know, somewhere in this pocket right here. Long term though, it's actually still among some of the better charts or the best charts, I would say. The weekly still pretty good, but I wouldn't mind a correction down, let's say to like 13 and a half to $14 sometime this month, and then another try to the upside, maybe even to new highs to open up the next month. Yeah, among some of the better charts, certainly. It's just I have a difficult time like just looking for straight continuation from here, looking at the rest of the market. So hopefully that was helpful. Like I said, I would invalidate that and just look for general continuation of new highs above like 18 and a quarter if you see a daily above there. Mr. Dr. Roxco says, "Hey, Krown, can you look at KDA? How low can it drop?" Well, 0 is the answer, as always. But is that likely? Probably not. Timeframes, daily and weekly, please. Want to know if it'll drop to the $4 region. Pretty fucking ugly here, but this doesn't look like the right chart. I remember, because I know that we've seen this one in the past. Okay, so yeah, we have more history right here, but let's go to a weekly. I think that's going to be most appropriate for your question. How low can it go? $4.50 is kind of where I'd be looking for if it is going to, you know, play with the rest of the market and do something like this, right? Maybe gets a short-term bounce like 650, but comes down in like the next month or so to 4.5 or so. That's kind of my base for the weekly here. Below there, I look for this one to come down like significantly, you know, down to like $2.50. And at that point, it's like, you know, it's just not like it might be like a long-term low, but it's going to take so fucking long for it to flip around that I don't think it's really that relevant. Weekly here, am I getting anything obvious? No. 5-day maybe. 5-day got another drive of hidden bearish divergence confirmed. Volatility very, very low. So I am actually biased towards this one coming down to this region, probably having another bounce there and actually failing there, to be honest with you. I'd get bullish on it back above about, I mean, if you're really looking at the long term, truly 980 would be my area. Short term on a daily would be like 785 or so. But I do think that this one has more downside to go. Yeah, 4 hours. Just I know you didn't ask about the short term, but looks like it wants another drive lower. Let's see. Cecilia says, "Sorry, one more. All good, Cecilia. Can you look at KNC? Did we look at this one earlier, or was it a different one? It sounds familiar, kind of. Yeah. No, yeah. I don't know if I don't remember if we did look at this one earlier, but it is among the better charts. It is among the best charts that we've seen today. Yeah. I'm actually looking for this one, probably to trade up towards $5 or so. In the next month or two. I think that you're still seeing continuation here on the daily. I think that you got one more drive to the upside and then very likely a pullback after that. So, you know, how high can you get before that pullback? Maybe in the shallow $5 region, I think is possible. But I would be looking for a pullback from that region, especially seeing as you're getting quite high here on daily BBWP. If you get a little bit closer to 95 percentile, I'd say be on the lookout for a local high and pullback. But pullback does not mean reversal to the downside. It just means look for a higher low, perhaps somewhere around like, you know, your mid to low $3 regions. But for right now, among the better charts, actually, among the best charts, in fact. Yeah, pretty interesting here. Very interesting here. In fact, monthly is long-term bullish. Monthly, I wouldn't be surprised to see new highs maybe next month. This month maybe a little bit too soon, but probably next month. Cool. So Joshua Sanders says, so I listened to your intro for like 2 hours today. Nice. Very, very nice, man. Glad that you're enjoying it, sir. Tyler Wallace says, hey, Krown, ASTR, 4 hour and daily. Okay, ASTR. This is I've actually never heard of this ever in my life. A-Star Network. Sounds like porn, honestly. 4 hour and daily. Good. It's fucking good. Porn's good. Always popular. But you will be creating some bearish divergence if you do confirm a local high here. For right now, I would actually not. This is not a local high, obviously. You will confirm a local high below 25.5 cents. And I would be looking at targets down to like 20-cent base, on a bounce a little bit later if that were to happen. Short term, I actually do think that you are going to pull back a little bit more, maybe down around about 25.25. So keep an eye out on the daily, because if that does confirm below there, you will have some bearish divergence. You will see extremes on daily BBWP. I'd be looking lower overall. It's going to be bounced along the way. 4 hours shows a little bit of sideways, probably a little bit of downside. So we'll have a chance for that. Again, like a move to the downside on this one is like not super problematic long term, because it'd still be a higher low. I mean, shit, anywhere even down to like 17 cents is okay long term, or 17.5 cents, let's say. But I do think that you're generally getting ready for a pullback sooner rather than later. The only way that I'd invalidate that is with a 4 hour closure above 32 cents, and at that point, very likely new highs before anything else, or extreme likely new highs. I mean, because that would be a new high, but I know it's not too helpful. But basically, I'm saying you're probably putting in a local high right here. Cool. Okay. Mr. Venegas, he's back. LCX. Okay. Did we look this one earlier, or I don't know. It looks, man, you like a lot of new ones today. Hourly, 4 hour, and daily if enough data is available. Let's see. Actually, daily. I mean, it'd be nice to have more, obviously, but daily ain't so bad. And you're like the master of picking out these nameless shitcoins that are actually, at least in this case, not bad. I actually would give this one a chance right here. I'm gonna guess that you probably have hidden bullish divergence in this case. You do. That'll be confirmed with any sort of a closure on today's daily above like 13.30. That would look good for another drive up towards 15-cent highs. Very low volatility here as well. I can tell you exactly where I get quite bearish on this thing, though. That's below 12 cents on a daily closure, and probably looking at moves back down towards 10.5, and then maybe another drop to like 9.5. But for right now, this actually could be a reversal right here. It'll be invalidated below 12 cents, however. Until then, I do think that you'd probably try again to the upside, actually. Yeah, weird one, man, but hourly is kind of weak, but I would invalidate it short term below like 12.70 or so on an hourly. Till then, I do think that this one's probably gonna get one more try to the upside. Yeah. James Bob says, curious on your thoughts on the NFT market, please. I'm not the person to ask. I don't trade NFTs. I don't look into it. I have zero knowledge of it, pretty much. I've played around with it a little bit. I'm friends with Elliot, but that's like it'd be the same thing as like I'm friends with a great mathematician, but that doesn't make me a great mathematician. It doesn't mean anything, really. I'm not the person to ask, man. I'd point you in the direction of Elliot, but he's kind of stopped doing daily uploads, so I don't know who the NFT authority is then. But yeah. Yeah, I can't be any help there, man. I'm sorry. Zara180, what the fuck crypto says, osmosis. Okay. I'm just going to type it in here, see what happens. It's on CoinX and CoinX. All right. 4 hour daily shit on the 6 hour. Daily is also garbage, and 4 hour is also garbage. Tell him what he's won. Looks like a shitty as fuck chart, man. Yeah, very awful. Very, very bad. Very bad. Very ugly. You might get another bounce off of like 640, 645. Long term, extremely fucking bearish. Nothing bullish at all about it as long as you're above 850 on a higher term time frame. Generally speaking, I think you're going to come down to like low $5 and probably even just trend there, in the next later this year. Probably new lows. Just ugly. Short term, you might get another bounce of like 640 or so. Yes, I did just do James Bob. Kenny Renardi says, hi, CHR. Okay. Can you actually close them, by the way? Okay, CHR. What dis? Again, you know, maybe one more short-term drive to the downside, like 44.5 cent, and then probably a short-term bounce there. Daily, ugly as fuck. Just an ugly as fuck downtrend, man. I think that you're generally going to trade lower here over the next few weeks, probably back down somewhere around like 30, maybe as low as like 35 to 40 cents or so in the next few weeks. You even got a phantom drive of bearish evidence right there. Actually should be hidden bearish evidence, but whatever. Same sort of idea anyways. I would only invalidate that and be bullish on it, I guess, with a daily closure of 58.5 cent. Until then, I think, you know, you're going to see short-term bounces along the way, but not the picture of health and fitness, and quite ugly just in general. Again, not you as a person, but as that as a chart, very ugly. Ooh, a little bit of coffee burps in the morning. GMT, yep, we got that one earlier, and I think that was actually one of the good ones. So nice one there. Mr. Spencer Smith, there he is. KLV. Okay. KLV. Clever. 4 hour and daily. Is it a reversal? Love you too, sir. Love you too, indeed. It's a potential reversal, but not yet. No, you don't have a higher low, and you also don't really have a higher high. So if you're gonna have a reversal here, what I'd say is that it's a potential here, as long as you're above about just above 3 cents, let's say. You can kind of run with that assumption, I guess, or at least it's alive for now. I would confirm a reversal with a daily closure above 4 cents, and at that point I would be looking for targets north of 5.5 to maybe even 6 cents. I think it's given the market, I think it's unlikely, but to be fair, you know, to give this one its due diligence, I wouldn't call it just yet until you're until you're below about 320, 315 on a daily closing basis. At that point, it's just continuation. I mean, there's other than that, there's really nothing resembling a reversal here. It's just likely another long-term lower high in a series of long-term lower highs. But I do think that you could, you know, you could have a bit of hopium as long as you're above that region. Again, about 315 below there. Very likely looking at moves back down to your, you know, to your February lows, and probably lower than that over time as well. Continuation, sir. Go down. James Bob says comp 4 hour. Okay. What the fuck is? Oh yeah, I remember this one from like last year. Awful. More down, man. More down. Probably looking at a bounce in like 121 to 122 region. 4 hour. Same shit. Maybe a bounce of like 126 short term, but I remain bearish on this one long term, especially as long as you're below 155. Above 155, I call a reversal in a bear trap, but I don't think that's very likely on this thing. I think what's most likely is you see something like this where, you know, you generally come down here over the next few weeks or months or something like that, and then maybe if it ends up being bullish, you flip back around very specifically above that, what was it, like 150 region. At that point, probably looking at a big rally up, but you know, very ugly chart other than that. So yeah. Let's see. Crypto AROM says, "Hey man, hey, glad you're doing well as well, sir. Can you you have the nice avatar of a doggy there. Looks really cute, actually. Symbol DOT on the 4 hour daily and weekly. Okay, let's check it out. You think Elsa says she thinks it's a bat. Elsa was also scared by Star Wars. She said that Anakin's whole transformation, very scary. It gave her nightmares. Dot. Put in my I have my LARP lines here. I know that we haven't looked at it today, so this must be from like last week, and not great. not great right there. I do think that you generally come a little bit lower in the next few weeks, somewhere down around like 17 to 18 bucks. You're kind of quite close there already. So more specifically about 17 to 18 bucks or so. Probably sets up for a bounce there. That's the weekly. Daily probably has a short-term bounce somewhere around about 18.40 to 18 and a quarter. 4 hour continuation, just ugly. Yeah, not great. I'd call long-term macro reversal with a move back above 23 bucks. It's quite far away, but if it does happen, I'd be long-term bullish with big targets up towards 30 plus. Until then, I think best case scenario is you're doing something like this where you come back down here, set in a higher low, and then flip back around about 23, and at that point, probably looking well north. So hopefully that was helpful, man. Let's see. Okay, so we got that. A0 says Venegas. All right, A-Z-E-R-O. Okay, another What the fuck, man? Really good, really good. Again, among some of the better charts. I mean, look, I don't have I really don't have like an analysis on this. I would expect new all-time highs. Maybe we could pull a fib here, and short term probably 295, maybe long term like 3.5. But this thing's a little bit too new for me to really do a realistic analysis on. But I would be generally looking up and to the right here. I mean, it's good. I would invalidate bullishness below like $2.5. So not bad right there. ACA 4-hour in daily says I can trade stuff. Sure. ACA US DERP. Okay, Binance, I guess. Another interesting one right here. I guess you can kind of treat it as a reversal as long as you're above 145. Below 145, this one gets sent back down to its March lows. Until then, I actually think that there's a bit of hopium for something like this, but short term, again, that goes completely out the wayside below about 150. 150. As long as you're above there, I actually do think that this one, trades a little bit sideways here and probably gives another try up towards 190, maybe even $2. But again, a little bit too new here to really give like a full look on the daily 12-hour. A little bit better, but I think you're generally ranging and probably do test around the bottom side of the range. And then if you get a higher low right there, that's at the point where I'd be looking for that move. If you do fail that region, again, about 149 to 150 on a higher time frame closer, I'm looking big down. Kooky says, is bearish divergence and hidden bearish divergence the same? No, they're not the same in their definition. Bearish divergence can only come within the context of an uptrend, and hidden bearish divergence can only ever come within the context of a downtrend, for example. Can you please tell me which stochastic indicator you use? The one on the Krown chain app. It's over here. If you go into the store, this one is actually a paid indicator. Programs, I think. Yep. And if you scroll down to... where is it? There it is, advanced stochastic right here. That would be the one if you're looking for this baby right here. So yeah, all right, cool. I think that is it for the day. It's been a nice... Are we bullish? Says Mark B. My plums are bullish. Are your plums bullish? Mine are mine are fucking bluish right now. I think that's a good place to kind of leave this one off. It's been a fun day. A lot of good conversations, a lot of action in the lower term time frames. But I suspect that this week is going to be a little bit we're gonna get some fun action, I believe, this week. Anyways, I'm gonna be signing off now. I want to wish everyone well. I want to say a special thank you to all of our moderators, keeping everyone safe in Safu. I want to give a shout out to the blue plums because they're ready for the farmers market. And I'll be signing off now. Bluish here. Yeah, there you go. When flip, we need the flip. Hey, what's up, Burgle Cunt? Oh, there he is, man. What's up, brother? Good to see you. It's not Burgle Cunt, it's Burgle Cut, and he's a very prolific member in the Discord there. It's great, man. Alrighty, sirs and sirs, signing off now. Take care, be safe, and see you in the next one.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, XR, pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it, hype it, pump it, dump it, rinse, repeat, but quick relocate, false it,